2019's Team Sonic Racing, or TSR, carries a mixed reputation with it. And while I was one of the weirdos who seemingly liked it more than most, I totally understand why that is the case. So, when Sonic Racing CrossWorlds was announced, many remained skeptical about how well it would perform. This time around, Sega tapped Sonic Team, the developers of the main 3D platformer titles, such as Frontiers and Shadow Generations, to develop the game. It launched in September 2025 on all modern platforms, except as of this writing, there is no native Switch 2 version of the game. That is apparently slated for holiday 2025. I picked Crossworlds up for my Xbox Series S. With all that said, I hope you go on to enjoy my review. Core gameplay. At its core, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is an arcade racer. You do 3 laps on a track, vying with others to get first place and picking up a variety of items along the way. Item balancing seems strong and well tuned. It can certainly get chaotic and frustrating if you let it, but I think that chaos and unpredictability are part of the fun. The racing itself feels good, the vehicles are responsive, and it is immensely satisfying to string together successful boosts and air tricks while avoiding hazards to maintain momentum. My only gripe when it comes to the core racing is that the sensation of the tires rolling over and gripping the track isn't quite as strong as it is in some of its contemporaries. But the track design is lovely. At times, it certainly takes cues and inspirations from its competitors, there's no denying that. Each course maintains a unique identity within the confines of the game itself, which is something I couldn't always say about TSR. I also love that the final laps often change things up a bit by, for example, opening new alternate routes, introducing more hazards, or placing more boost panels on the ground. This will keep you on your toes and will force you to alter your optimal path to victory. Crossworlds mechanic. The main gimmick of Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is the titularly named Crossworlds mechanic. On the second lap of every standard race, players will get transported via a giant ring to an entirely different course before returning to the main track for the third and final lap. The racer in first can choose this crossworld track. Often that choice is between an identified course and a random one. At first, the game will select between 15 crossworld specific tracks, but after you progress through the Grand Prix mode a bit, then all courses are put into this pot. I'm someone that can get a bit fatigued when racing the same lap 3 times in a row. The Crossworlds mechanic, along with the aforementioned slight alterations on some of the final laps, directly address that and help keep each race fresh and unique. I often found myself excited whenever a random crossworld was selected because I was genuinely curious to see which one the game would choose. If you like the main course, say Radical Highway or Metal Harbor, 2 of my favorites, you still get to race 2 full laps on them, and if you don't like it, say you're bad at the track in question, we all have one of those, well then you can get a bit of a breather on the middle lap. A very small nitpick I have specifically for the Grand Prix mode is that you can run into a situation where a crossroad track belongs to another course in the very cup you're doing. I would prefer it if, specifically in this situation, the crossworld pot excludes tracks from the selected Grand Prix. I also recognize that there are bound to be some folks out there that prefer the traditional 3 laps on one course format found in previous kart racers. If that sounds like you, then you probably won't like the Crossworlds mechanic as much as I and some others do. Gadget system. The gadget system is a second core gimmick of Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. Here you have limited space to select gadgets that influence and fine-tune your racing experience. Examples include slightly increasing your speed or handling, starting the race with a boost wisp, the ability to do air tricks faster, or to have a slightly longer slipstream effect. This is also called drafting, a mechanic where you gain a bit of speed by staying directly behind the person in front of you. At first, you start out with only having 3 gadget slots available, but you eventually get 6 by playing the game more. There is a lot of strategic thinking because of this system. The game gives you about 5 or 6 gadget plates to build, so if the track selected involves a lot of sharp turns and corners, you may want to equip some handling tuners and also an effect where you don't lose rings from bumping into a corner or boundary. If the course has a lot of straightaways, then you may want some speed and acceleration boosts. The gadgets can also help make up for some of your selected vehicle's shortcomings. The vehicles come in classes like handling, boost, speed, and power. For instance, the hoverboard from Sonic Riders has high boost stats, but is lacking in other areas. You can either apply gadgets that help with stats like handling and speed, or you can fully commit to boost and apply boost tuners and kits. The gadget system encourages player expression and creativity. This is why I think it is a likewise wonderful gimmick that further helps separate CrossWorlds from its contemporaries. The main complaint I've heard about it is that it excessively or needlessly complicates a kart racer, which is a genre generally known for its simplicity. I think that's a totally valid viewpoint to have, and I completely understand wanting a more simple arcade racing game. But my partial rebuttal to that is the gadget system perhaps isn't as complicated as some might think, and also you can interact with it as much or as little as you want, especially if you're sticking with single player content. Rivals. The third core element of Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is the rival system. This only applies to the Grand Prix mode. It's fan service and I love it. Before the start of each Grand Prix, you will be paired with a rival character. This rival will almost always be your toughest opponent, the second place to your first place, or vice versa. Before the first race, there will be a voiced interaction between your character and your rival. These interactions play off the history of the two individuals and pay a lot of respect to the series' long-running history. One of my favorites was the dialogue between Sonic and Blaze, where they both acknowledge that when it comes to competition, they tend to bring out the best in each other and they end by wishing each other luck. A clear nod to, among other things, when the two first met in the original Sonic Rush game on the Nintendo DS. There are, of course, funny, savage, and out-of-pocket confrontations too, which you may have seen online. And the Grand Prix mode first typically gets awarded 15 points, second place 12 points, and third place 10 points. However, in the final race, the winner gets 18. This, coupled with the fact that your rival is often right on your tail, often leads to a situation where it all comes down to the final race. It can be intense, and I had numerous occasions where my rival and I were neck and neck at the very end. I also had a scenario where I finished in something like 4th, 2nd, and 5th place in the first 3 races, but I ended up winning the Grand Prix because I got first in the finale. Online play. CrossWorlds' online mode checks all the boxes it needs to. You get into a lobby where you can interact with other players through a radial menu of basic communications options. It's charming and I love the little voice lines from the characters. Then you get sent into a race before coming back to a lobby. The game, fittingly, has crossplay, meaning you can play with your friends regardless of platform. I've regularly been able to find games, which is something I couldn't say about Team Sonic Racing, sadly even right after launch. Connection is stable, I haven't once disconnected mid-race, though there was one instance where I got disconnected from a lobby, and when I was playing with a friend who had the game on PC, he regularly lost connection in lobbies after a match. I'm not sure if that's specific to him or if that's a wider problem when trying to load up with friends. There also doesn't seem to be a way to leave a race once everything is queued up, so my friend had to wait for me while I completed the match. The game has a ranking system where you earn points based on how well you perform. It goes from E to A with rewards each time you rank up. Right now, I'm finding that I'm getting matched with folks right around my skill level, so each race is chaotic, intense, and comes down to the wire. Sega and Sonic Team seem prepared to support the game after launch, hopefully well after launch. There are DLC characters already lined up. Hatsune Miku is the first one who is already available and free. Joker and Ichiban Kasuga are scheduled for release in the next month or 2 and will also be free. Then there's the paid DLC characters from Minecraft, SpongeBob, Pac-Man, and Mega Man. I'm personally hoping for some more Sega characters to show up, such as Ai, Joe Musashi, Beat and Gum, and Knights. Hopefully they'll also be free, but we'll see. One thing I am excited about are the online events the developers seemingly have prepared for the game. As of this writing, there is a Hatsune Miku festival planned for October 2nd to 5th, and I am interested to see what the festival entails and how it will shake up general online play, because I can see doing general races over and over again online getting stale. Conclusion: Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is a game where everything comes together. The title currently has an 83 on OpenCritic, and that's right around where I would land. It's an easy recommendation for fans of kart racers or the Sonic franchise. That fan service is quite good, after all. However, if you don't fall into either of those buckets, then the $70 USD price tag might be a tad too steep. It's a good thing then that Sega games tend to go on sale every once in a while. Thanks everyone for watching, and until next time, take care.